In the year 1997, the future is in chaos and turmoil. Mankind is on the brink of extinction. Brave survivors band together and build a time displacement apparatus to receive a signal from a parallel future. This transmission is the Wundercast.
Welcome to the Wundercast, the official podcast of Wunderblog.com, the home of Unnamed Footage Festival 8 coverage. I am your host, Steven, and I am here with fellow filmmaker Richard O'Hare, one of the minds behind the short Body Worn Video. How are you doing, Richard?
Doing very well. Thank you very much, man.
Body Worn Video is I've been watching quite a few of the shorts in the festival, and I think it's by far one of the most exciting and action-packed of all the shorts.
Nice. I appreciate that. That's great.
So it is playing on the, let's see, I thought it was playing on the 28th. Am I blind? Is that what I'm doing? Here we go. On the 29th, Saturday, we're playing along with the Lost episode at 10:20 p.m. You can watch Body Worn Video, directed by Tony Hipwell, written by Richard O'Hare and Tony Hipwell. Let's check out the trailer real quick.
Please, you have to help. I think they're hurting the baby.
Is this the right address?
Station, we made a terrible mistake.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's great.
Short and mysterious, not giving anything away in that trailer. I'll save any spoilery questions I have for the end. But Body Worn Video, it subverts the expectations you have with like police body cam footage. How did you guys decide that was the type of horror that you guys wanted to riff off of?
Well, this was born a few years ago. I entered a competition to write a script, and I'm a cinematographer by trade, but I just love shooting horror films, and I was like, well, can't win if you don't enter. I've got a couple of ideas. I might as well just jot something down, and then I went and won the competitions. I was like, oh shit, okay, I gotta learn how to be a producer. I gotta learn how to do all the other stuff that doesn't involve just cameras and lights. But it was basically I don't know. You get lost on your phone and you just doom scrolling for ages, and I get caught in road rage videos and videos of people getting bailiffs knocking on their door, and it's always body cam or dash cam. It's I don't know. I always think those are such magnetic videos to watch, because you just oh god, it's drama. It's peeking behind the curtain, what's going on. But it got me thinking with bailiffs as well, the body worn cam. It just solves all the problems you get when you're watching a found footage film where you're why are they still holding the camera? Why haven't they just put that down and ran away? And because these guys just completely would forget that they're wearing a camera anyway, and it doesn't matter. They're just in it, and it's just it's a computer game, and they're just running, and they're just fucking getting chased and all sorts of. Yeah, just that idea of it's completely a free camera that's there, without anyone really understanding that it's there, and just having all those cool ideas of like first person shots. And I had to have two characters because otherwise it's just a one shot, and then that'd be hellishly complicated to film. But yeah, it kind of came out of that. It was going to be bailiffs to start, and then I was like, well, why don't I just make it police officers? And then it's like, it's got a little bit more gravitas to it.
So how long was the pre-production like to achieve this level? Because it looks very, very professional.
Oh, thank you. I mean, yeah, it was pretty much a year from when like someone said, yeah, we're going to give you the money, to when we basically like got on set and started rolling. There's a few like different like elements to it. So basically the guys who funded it, it's a company called Fear .io, and they actually are into computer games. They're into like making crypto, NFTs, online gaming, like all that kind of stuff. And they wanted it. They're funding the short mainly just so they can take the IP and make a computer game out of it. And they're actually currently doing that at the minute, which will come out later this year. So there was loads of development that we had to do with them about like the kind of maze path that they go down, how many characters, how many monsters, like how are we like setting up the story, does it lead in like a computer game? And then we had like a whole other day on set where we literally just filmed computer game footage. Like none of it is actually included in the short at all, which is all like to come later on when you get to play the game and you get to see all the cutscenes and stuff. Like it's basically just all just like dead ends, right? Like, oh no, you died, like start again. Oh no, you died, start again, that kind of stuff.
Whoa, that's super cool. That's really, so at what point were they like, okay, you can take our, so it's not technically like a trailer for the game, but it's its own film? Like if you guys
Yeah, so
want to make a feature out of it, would you have control, or you got to go to the crypto guys?
well, I mean, like we own it equally, yeah. So it's theirs and ours, and we basically would make it together, if we ever got a chance to kind of get that done. But yeah, it really wasn't like, it was really quite a collaboration process, and they had like really really cool ideas about like the monsters and that sort of thing, and they even like supported us along the way, being like, right, let's make it scarier, let's add another monster, let's like make those masks bigger, like all that kind of stuff. Like they were really really cool.
That's awesome. How'd you guys find this like awesome location that looks like some sort of like abandoned, post war aftermath like junkyard facility or something?
Yeah, so I mean, we really looked out. So I live in Yorkshire in the UK, and I mean, like just like you guys in the US, you have those like scare houses or scare theme parks, like at Halloween and stuff. So we have one of them just around the corner, and it's in a farm or a maze like farm that's just around the corner. And obviously, like it's only ever really open September, October, November, like set up October, November, close down. So like for 3/4 of the year, it's like just stood there doing nothing. And we know the guy really well, so we went up to him and was like, "Hey man, can we have a look around, like potentially filming at your park?" He was like, "Yeah, do it." Like it's literally nothing's happening, and you go in and it's like, I mean, it's scarier than when it's open, man. It's like the lights are off. They just put every single like scare statue in one big hall, and like there's no electricity, there's no heating. It's always like, man, it was creepy as. And they came across this like the last little bit in the shipping container, and they were like, oh, if you actually want to use this one, we're going to tear this one down and we're going to build like a Deliverance type theme park for next year. So like if you wanted to, you could like trash the hell out of this. You could like rip things off the walls. You could do whatever you wanted to, like literally, and because we're just going to completely gut it and redo it. So like, me and Tony were just like, okay, that definitely sounds like something you want to do. And actually in this first script, like, because they're police officers and they're coming to like a disturbance, because many domestic disturbance that they get called to, it was meant to be in a house. It was like just meant to be like a run-of-the-mill, normal kind of like end of a cul-de-sac house. The neighbors called or something like that. Like, and I mean, just ultimately, just like it's just really hard to find a house that's like exactly how you kind of imagined it in your head. And then when you do find the houses, you're like, oh yeah, what do you think about just like rubbing shit all over the walls, or like, like what? Can we just turn your basement into like a completely like blood-soaked throne? And they were like, oh yeah, no, you can't do that. So like, yeah, those things have their own like those hurdles to themselves. But this place, it wasn't a house, so we had to do some script changes, but it was everything else and more that we could ever have wanted, and it was amazing.
Wow, that is so cool. And so you were the DP, so are you doing both A and B camera when
No,
like
I
you're the bodyguard?
completely. It's all the police officers, so it's all run in real time. So they literally would put both cameras on them. We had two feeds feeding out of the cameras, and me and Tony would sit there at the video village and just watch them. And it was sort of like I guess it was more like a theater performance for them, because we would like start scene, enter, go all the way through to the end of the scene, cut, and then we'd like discuss, and then we'd redo, because you don't have the chance to like, let's get a close up, or let's like do a cutaway, or just do some color around. Like as a DP, I'd be like, yeah, we need to make sure we're like, getting all the detail shots, like make sure we're getting coverage, close ups, mids, and all this stuff. It's like, nah, we get two shots, and they are mega wide, so you can't put lights up anywhere, and like, and yeah, basically, yeah, we had to teach not teach, like it was pretty easy thing to like to instruct, but like our two actors, Ollie and Chantel, we had to tell them to like, right, you've got to move like Batman. You've got to move with your chest, because if you move your head, or if you're like moving your head and the torch goes one way, like the people watching the film can't see what you're doing.
Yeah.
So literally they had to be like robots. But ultimately you can't tell, and I think it still sells.
I figured that at some point you guys cheated and someone else was wearing the cam and the actors got the
We did have a few discussions about that, especially for the running stuff, because like without any spoilers, but obviously when you get into the throes of it, you're mainly just like seeing like someone running like this down dark corridors, and we were like, well, do we actually even need like our lead to do that? Like she can just do ADR at the end, or do we need the Kane to like be doing all that stuff? Can we just get a stunt in it and do it? Because if they're not looking at each other, then you don't know who's wearing the camera. But ultimately, they were both just like, no, I want to do this. Like this is my character. I've kind of built it up. Like I stupidly, like I know how she would run. Like I know how many times she'd turn around. Like I know how frantic she'd be. Like kind of have that in my character. I don't really like, if I was to then do it, like I'd just be like thinking about the camera. I'd be like chest out, like working like this. Just, but like, yeah, they completely nailed it. And we were actually up for a cinematography award actually at Romford Horror Festival the other day, and I rang both of them up. I was just like, I don't know if this is an award for me or if it's an award for you guys, but let's all just give ourselves a big pat on the back.
That's nice to get a cinematography award and not have to hold the camera the whole movie. That's a good achievement.
I know, yeah.
How long was post-production like?
Yeah, post-production was pretty swift, to be fair, because we always wanted to premiere at Fright Fest, which is in August in the UK, and the deadline for that's like the end of May. So we started rolling sort of like around this time, like a couple of weeks earlier than this last year, and then we had like from March, like middle March, end of March, right the way through to the end of May to like make sure it was done, nailed, and everything done. And like I don't know, like you made a found footage film. I don't know what it was like for you, but like a lot of people have this misconception that when you go into post-production for a found footage, they're like, oh, it's super easy. It's like it's lo-fi. It's like, you're just gonna blah blah blah. It's like, you don't have all this, and you're like, no, it's not easy. Like, yeah, the sound design has to really fucking sell. Like, you can't put music in it because it's found footage. So like, you can't build your tension with like all that kind of stuff. So we spent so much time like trying to make sure that all the ADR was good, vocals were good, any sort of like re-recordings of like any sort of dialogue was going in. And we actually did some additional dialogue readings because, and we test screened it. A lot of people pointed out some things that we didn't notice, and we were like, "Fuck, we need to fix that." And then you go. I mean, like these cameras are meant to look fudgy, right? But I did loads of tests before we filmed to see which camera I could use in low light. And because of that, it helped me out a little bit. But I still have to spend quite a lot of time in the grade just making sure that, you know, like you got police jackets that are like fluorescent, you've got torches that are blue, you've got the outside, which is like bluer, then you've got candles that are like orange. Like we had so much nitpicky detail to figure out in post-production. But we had an amazing team, and yeah, it got absolutely conquered.
Did you feel that you had like everything in camera that day, or did you have to like fix it up when you were color grading everything later?
So like I guess there was always an element of like hiding cuts. Like if you watch it, you know that there'll be some glitches, there'll be some like static, and there was always we always needed that because ultimately there's bits where it's a bit of cinema magic where you're like that person couldn't have been in that room because we've just seen that room and all they've done is turn around and now they're there. You know, we had there's a lot of like trickery that we have to figure out. And so they were planned, but there was a lot of other things that came up where we were like, we really wanted to draw out the first instance when they get into like this hell house, basically. But we only had 2 cameras and they were rolling continuously. So to actually elongate a scene, to build the tension a little bit more and the apprehension, like we were like, oh shit, like there's nothing to cut to. There's nothing we can like fill the scene with. So we really had to like work cleverly in terms of like the continuity and where people were, where torches were pointing and stuff like that to try and just draw that out, make that feel a little bit more like apprehensive and stuff. So yeah, we didn't have to do any reshoots or anything, but we definitely needed to do some things we weren't planning on doing when we got to the edit. Yeah. And there's another actually with the ADR. Again, I don't want to say too much because obviously I'm not sure if people have seen the film if they're watching me talk about this, but there's some very obvious gore when they go into the this hell house, and in the first instance, neither of the actors talked about it. Like neither of the characters mentioned the fact that they were walking into this blood-soaked corridor, and like someone test screened it and said like, are they not worried that there's like blood everywhere? Like they're not really talking about that. And obviously because we didn't write their blood everywhere on the walls to be in the script, those characters didn't say those words. So luckily, because everyone's wearing a camera on their chest, as long as it's not pointing at the other person, they can say whatever they want and you can't see their mouth. So that was a little bit of a phew moment for us, but other than that, it went exactly how we planned.
It's all right. You rewrite the movie in the edit anyway. That's the final draft.
That's right.
That's what matters.
That's totally
Let's get into spoilers.
oof. Okay.
Spoilers. These are the spoilers. Spoilers. So in body worn video, our police protagonists unfortunately come across some sort of cult or demon possessed group of humans. What made you want to go in that direction with it? Was that like a growth of using the haunted house type area and opposed to like a physical house?
No, they were always meant to be a cult. I'm glad you said cult because that's what they are. They're a pagan, like an old pagan cult. And there's a huge backstory towards this, which obviously doesn't make any difference to the short because you don't get it in the short. But obviously for us to build the pitch deck and stuff and to have this feature film idea in our heads for later on, we kind of like really built out the story of where these guys came from. But they are. I wanted it to be really like ambiguous as to whether they were actually summoning something, whether they were actually like some sort of mystical, magical cult or demon possessed entities, or whether they were just actually a bunch of psychopaths, like killers who wear masks, who think they're doing something for a deity or something, when actually they're just killing people, and like whatever they're doing is just nonsense. And unfortunately the effect is the same, the outcome is the same. They are murdering people, but they think they're doing it for one thing, but actually it's just not having any effect. I wanted that to be ambiguous, and like towards the end, I think it probably gets a little bit towards the fantastical, but it's still not like there's Satan or anything like that. It's still very much like, did I just the room flicker or the light? There's candles. Yeah, there's always a bit of that towards it, and it actually stems from there's a podcast I listen to, which is from the States called Last Podcast on the Left. I don't know if you've heard of it. And they do true crime, they do horror, they do cryptids, they do all that stuff that we all love. And they did one about a cult in Mexico. I can't remember what they were called. Basically, they were just drugged up psychopaths that were torturing people, and they thought that the more that they tortured someone, the more horrible the pain and anguish that person felt, the more that their god, devil, Satan, Lucifer, whoever they were worshipping, would be happy, would be like pleased with them. And they had these things called an anganga, which is like a altar.
Whoa.
Where you basically just throw all of like the blood, bile, bones, visceral stuff and like collect it into this like throne or altar where they would try and summon things, and they'd be like big buckets of blood and like just like bones and just skin, horrible shit. So I kind of stole that idea because these people were just they were the Mexican cult, they were just on drugs like all the time. They were just like absolutely spangled. They had no idea what they were doing, but they thought they were doing something that was super fantastical, and actually they were just killing people. And I kind of stole that idea and I put it in a very traditional pagan idea cult that they thought that they were trying to resurrect some sort of like Gaia, Mother Earth deity, and they needed to kill police officers to do that.
Well, you guys definitely sold it visually, and the sound effects and sound design are so unsettling, and really, bring that ethereal horror, home. So my kudos to who did the sound design, who tweaked all the good stuff.
So we had a guy called Sam Mason come on board, who he's a UK sound designer. He'd done a lot of good shorts that they've done at festivals recently, but he also did a film called Custom. Not Custom, sorry. Did a film called Sensor. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a UK film about like the sensory board back in the 70s and 80s, but how they were like trying to censor snuff films. Anyway, he's just a really, really chill guy, really, really, really good sound designer. And it's actually Tony who had worked with him on a micro short before, who was just like, this guy knows what he's doing, like he'll really look after it. And like, yeah, he just totally nailed the brief.
That's super cool. Was the ambulance that our characters like take shelter in and get menaced in, at what point did you realize that you got to put this cool like set piece into the short? Was that just something that's on the haunted house all the time?
Yeah, so I mean this is a perfect little coincidence. So we'd written the whole story, and the phone call at the beginning is obviously the cult ringing 999 or 911 for years and trying to get police officers to arrive, kind of a bit more like a Return of the Living Dead, semi paramedics type moment, just so that they can kill them, sacrifice them, and then at the end of the film you see that they ring them again, and they're just basically conveyor belting first responders. And our idea was always that this cult wanted to kill off the first responders first. Whoa. Because that's like humanity's like first line of defense. So like firemen, police officers, ambulance, paramedics, these were the people that we'd written into the backstory that they were ringing to get there to kill. When we got to set, we were doing the recce, and there was just an ambulance in the middle. We were like, well, this is perfect. This is absolutely ideal. This fits the thing without us even trying. And yeah, a lot of people are just like, wow, how did you get an ambulance in the set? Oh, that's so cool. I'm like, it took a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money, but we got it.
Yeah, that is just beautiful. It just fits so organically and sets the theme. And
Mm.
I love the framing device of the movie that, it just keeps going on and on and on and on. And can grow in the viewer's imagination. So my hat's off to you. Body worn video. Super fun. I look forward to seeing how the game turns out and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, keep following the Instagram, man. We're posting up stuff about the game at the minute, and it's looking pretty cool. It's looking pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, because so if you've seen the short, if and when you see the short, when Kane dies, he gets his throat slit, and then that's it's him, one and done. There's an alternate take of that where he turns around and he just gets conked on the head, and the game then picks up from that moment. And instead of going to Adele, um, and following her thing that happens after Kane dies, or discovering that there's no baby and stuff like that, we just cut straight to Officer Kane waking up in the middle of this field, in like a kind of like Stonehenge type situation, and that's when the game then starts, and the game is you trying to find your partner to try and get out of there. So
cool.
yeah, there's gonna be some cool little snippets coming out in the next few weeks.
That's super cool. Wow. Holy crap. Now's the part of the interview where you can ask me one question about my short toy vlog hunt.
I actually had quite a few questions I wanted to ask, but yeah, okay,
Go for it.
I'll try and reduce it down. But I really, I really enjoyed it, and I thought up front it just seems you kind of get your menacing idea that this guy is not like right, and especially when he starts clocking that guy. But as soon as you've done your flip and you know that he's like capturing people and stuff, and all those extra scenes you get where you kind of allude to the fact that you've been doing this for a long time and you've got like countless things. How far into filming each one of those extra scenes did you go? Like, did you script every single one to be just enough of a snippet, or did you film like a murder per situation and then just kind of pick and choose?
So my original intent with the movie was to make it a lot more subtle than it was. And as I was getting test feedback back on it, it was just way too subtle for people, which is why
Right.
I added the sort of zooms on when the victim is around, and that also led me during the toy room montage to add some moments where I'm like covered in blood or have some blood on something that
Hmm.
I'm wearing or on my glasses or something like that, to sell the idea that these are all, potential trophies from potential kills. And then the filming of that whole sequence was done over like 6 months at like random moments throughout the
Oh,
day,
really?
when I would like go over to my parents' house and help out, and then I would sneak into my toy room there and sort of just get a few more shots and change my shirts around and, mix things up a little bit. So
Nice.
it was all like, it was I was finding my movie as I went along, as opposed to like planning it out really hard.
Nice. Yeah, the effort really comes through, man. It looks really good.
Yep, yep. Anything you want to plug to close us out?
Um, are you going to go? Are you going to the unnamed footage?
I am not able to go because I am like 3,000 miles away, and I already used my airline miles for this month.
Nice.
But
I mean, all I'd say is, I mean, I can't plug anything necessarily. Other than Body Worn is one of my shorts doing the phones. I've got a few more shorts that are doing the festival circuit as well, all very different. and none of them that I wrote or produced. But I would just love people to go and have a great time at Unnamed Footage because I can't go and I'm good. I'd love to go. I managed to make it out to Film Quest last year, which was great. And unfortunately, I can only really afford like one stateside festival, and like I was pretty like buzzed that I got there. But next year, I'm going to try and make it to something else. So
We look forward to having you here in the States. Hopefully our governments are still friends at that point.
yeah, I mean, there's something to think about.
Who knows?
Yes, it's true.
This has been Richard O'Hare, producer, writer, DP of Body Worn Video. I have been Steven. And remember, kids, when you're at Unnamed Footage Festival, make sure to take lots of pictures and post them online so that we can live vicariously through your joyful experiences.
100%. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Boom, that's the interview.
Hail Wunder.
Hail Wunder.
Wundercast? Give it
Yeah.
up for Wundercast, man. What an adorable name.
You're listening to the Wundercast.
What's up, everybody? This is Jason David Frank, Green Ranger. You're listening to Unnamed.
You can find it at Wundercast, and I know they love Effie.
I'd like to close this out by urging everyone to go over to wunderblog.com, and you'll see on all of our recent podcasts, and once I post this up there, there will be a link to D-Rock's Patreon account for ad infinitum.
Oh, why'd you start linking my Patreon exactly when I stopped updating?
Oh no! Never mind!
You can also...
No, I'm gonna update it soon, I am. Because Halloween-a-thon's almost over. I've been busy with Halloween-a-thon, so... Sorry, everybody.
Also support the Ringing Rocks roller rink and their GoFundMe to improve their local facility. You can check us out at Bundacast on TikTok and on Twitter. And thank you for joining us on YouTube.
Subscribe to the Wundercast.